I'm going to talk about the UK driving test, what sort of things are going to happen on the driving test, what you should be doing and what to expect. Hi there everybody, I just want to talk about a couple of things about your driving test, and I'll cover a couple of points. Hopefully it'll make it easy for you to understand these things. If it does, great, fantastic. So the first thing is, if you've got your driving test coming up, and it could be a month away, it could be a week away, if your instructor or your family member is telling you what to do, then really maybe you're not prepared enough at that point. Or it could be you're having a bad day that day and it's not going your way. But if you're having lessons and you're consistently getting told what to do or asked to check your mirrors, then that's not a good thing. And you should really be doing everything independently a week before your driving test. So it should be, if you're driving along the road, your instructor shouldn't be saying anything about what you should be doing. They might be directing you where to go, left or right, or saying to you follow signs for this or follow sat nav. But you shouldn't be expecting your instructor or your family member to expect you to help you. Okay? So if you're not getting any help, then fantastic. You're on the right track. If you're getting loads of help, then you might even consider putting your test back. Because if you're getting loads of help off your instructor or your family member, chances are you're not going to be able to do very well on your driving test. And that's me being honest about it. And you've got to take that, you can't suddenly put rose tinted glasses on and say, well, I think I'll be fine on the driving test, I'm going to chance it. Chances are you're going to fail at that point. So I'm being honest with you there. Some people don't like being told that, but that's the honest truth. You need to be able to do things independently. It's quite important. So the driving test itself then, remember, it's your test, not the examiner's driving test. They're just there to assess you. And what I mean by assess you is when you first set off at the beginning of the test, the examiner is going to watch what your eyes are up to, watch what your feet are up to. They're there to assess you. It costs you £62. Think like that. £62? That's like £100 an hour. Oof. They can watch all my eyes all they like for 40 minutes, I don't mind. Think like that, think positive. Don't think, someone's staring at me, it's going to put me off. Right? Because it's a bit off-putting when you've got an examiner, especially when you're not used to them, and they sit there, it could be a man, it could be a woman. You might even get someone in the back of the car assessing the examiner at the front. If that happens, don't worry about it. It's going to be a fair test, as it always is. The examiner's going to get assessed on the way they assess you. So if they do things wrong, they're certainly going to get told. So they're going to make things exactly spot on for that driving test when they're taking it with you. So going back to you then, your driving test. You've turned up at a test centre and you've got there 5 minutes before. You parked up, reversing if you've got a car park, reverse into the space if you can. And you go into the test centre with your provisional driving licence. You can bring your theory test certificate along if you want to, but at the moment they're not asking for them. And wait in the waiting room if there's a waiting room there. Masks are optional. You don't need to wear one. So if you don't want to wear one, that's fine. But you can wear one. I mean, I wear them when I go into the test centre because obviously you're in a room with about 8-9 people and their instructors are there. So that's a good chance where you're going to catch something at that point. So I'd wear a mask personally, and then not wear one when you're in the car with the examiner because you're only one-on-one at that point. But that's your choice. You can do what you want. So they're going to come outside, read your name out, show them your licence. They'll say to you, if you're wearing a mask, pull the mask down, and at that point they're going to say to you, let's see your licence, check the photo and so on. So you check your photo against you, and they'll ask you to sign a piece of paper. That's quite normal. At that point they'll say to you, would you like your instructor to sit in the back of the car, or would you also like your instructor to listen to the debrief at the end? Now, that's something you need to decide with your instructor or with your family member. At the moment, most instructors are probably not going to sit in the back of the car because there's a risk they might catch COVID still. And but they will want to listen to the debrief, because the debrief at the end tells the examiner tells you while the instructor's listening what mistakes you made, if any, and what areas you can improve on, as well as you getting your actual email report at the same time. So do say yes to the debrief if you can, but having an instruction in the back is up to you. So you've decided what you're going to do with the examiner, and you walk outside. You'll do your eyesight test 20 meters away. So if you're not sure where that is, practice it. If you have to measure it, do that. If you're not too sure, ask your instructor what is 20 meters, and get them to check. Because if you get it wrong, they'll ask you again. And you've done your eyesight test and you got it right this time. So fantastic. You walk into the car. They're going to ask you which car it is. You walk over. If it's a nice day, don't be surprised if they ask you to open the bonnet, and you'll do one of the tell me questions where you would tell them the answer to the question that they ask you. And an example is if they open the bonnet, they'll say, can you tell me where the windscreen wash is and how you check it needs filling? You know, that's one of the questions. If you don't know what the questions are, I'll put a link to a video below and at the top there of what the tell me questions are. And when you're driving around, you'll also get a show me question where they'll ask you to show them something. And then another example, an easy one, is they'll say to you, when it's safe to do so, can you show me how the horn works? Straight away, it's there. So you've done your tell me question with the examiner, and you sat in the car waiting. They're going to walk around the car. They're going to check the car's fine. They're going to check the tyres. They're going to check the reg number. They'll sit in the car. They'll check the instructor badge number, which is the green badge on the windscreen, which has got a picture of your instructor on. They'll check the number of that. And then they'll say to you, shall I explain the driving test to you? Yes, please, you'll say. I want to know what's going to happen. It calms you down also, and it gets you used to their voice, and it'll help you stay focused. And they'll say to you, test lasts about 38-40 minutes. Right? It's not word for word, 38-40 minutes they'll say. And they'll say, I want you to follow the road ahead at all times, unless the road signs or road directions tell you differently. And if I want you to go left or right, I'll ask you. And they'll say, do you understand that? Yes. And they'll say, along the way, we're going to get one manoeuvre, possibly merge stop, because 1 in 3 get that. But they'll pull you over to these things. They're not going to suddenly spring it on you. And they're going to be independent driving in there at the same time. Now, the independent driving is either going to be follow road signs for 20 minutes or follow a sat nav for 20 minutes. And that could happen right at the start of the driving test, or in the middle, or towards the end. Depends on the route, depends on where the test centre is. But that's what could happen. And they'll say, okay, when you're ready, start the car. So obviously seatbelt will be on. The examiner seatbelt's going to be on. If they haven't got the seatbelt on, ask them to put it on. But to be honest, I've never seen it happen yet. Start the car when you're ready, they'll say. And if you've got a car park, they might even say to you at the beginning, I want you to drive out of the car, out of space, to the right or left, get yourself parallel, and reverse back into a space within the white lines. So you could get a reverse brake pack straight away. So don't be surprised if that happens. But they can also do that manoeuvre now on the test route within a public car park somewhere. So be prepared for that too. When you're driving round, remember in the UK you've got 4 manoeuvres. I've just mentioned the reverse bay parking. You've got forward bay parking also. You've got parallel parking and park on the right. And then remember 1 in 3 emerge stop. So they're the manoeuvres that you're going to get. The 4, one of them 4, and possibly an emerge stop as well. And they'll pull you over to these manoeuvres. Now along the way you're going to get a country road, if you've got country roads close by, town centre, built up areas, rural roads, a mixture of all sorts, dual carriageways if you've got that, and junctions and crossroads, and anything they can chuck in within that route that's going to give you a variety of roads and conditions to drive on. So that's what you're going to get. Now, people say to me, when's the best time to book your driving test? Now, me personally, I'd say after 9 o'clock before lunchtime. That's probably the best time. But obviously, at the moment, it's quite hard to get hold of a driving test time. So you just got to get what you can. Test starts 8 in the morning. Usually the last one's about 3:30, 4ish, depends on the area. So be prepared for whatever test time you get. I would personally practice in them times leading up to your test. You get used to that flow of traffic. It will get used to it. Because if you're having lessons at say 9:30 in the morning, it's quiet, and you booked a test for 2:30, 3 o'clock when the kids are coming out of school, it's going to be busy, isn't it? There's going to be lots more parents around parking up in silly places. or rushing to get the kids. So have a few lessons similar time to when you test. Is that little tip that'll help you get used to that, the traffic flow of that time of day. So you've set off on your driving test and you drive along. You're going to cover all sorts of road conditions. They're going to ask you to pull over 4 or 5 times, maybe 6 times. They're asking you to move off, and what they're checking for is safe, convenient place where you're going to pull over, what's legal, and they're checking that you're checking your mirrors, your signal if you need be, and when you're pulling off, you're checking round, finishing with your blind spot that it's safe to pull off on. And what they want to see when you're meeting traffic is that you're not taking any silly risks. You know, you're going with the flow when it's safe to go, but you're not going when it's not safe. You know, when I've started in the back of tests over the years, it always seems to kind of follow the same kind of format. The first few minutes, some people are quite cautious, and as it goes on, they get a bit more confident, and then it starts speeding up. It's like they're rushing to get through the driving test at that point. So keep things under wraps, stay focused. Don't worry about the time. The examiner keeps an eye on the time for you. They'll get you back to the test centre within that time allowed. You've just got to stay focused and keep yourself safe and do a reasonable speed. Don't start driving like a granny and doing slow speeds because your mate's been told, I failed for going fast. Don't go fast, go slow, you'll be fine. If you're driving slow and what's reasonable, you're going to start picking up faults. If you're going too fast, you're going to fail. So all these little things, bear these things in mind. I'm sure you're going to know this already when you've been speaking to your your instructor. So if you haven't, then ask these questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So when you're getting back towards test centre, remember, you're not finished until you're in the car park and you've secured the car and the engine's off. That's when the test finishes. The amount of times I've seen people drive at test centre and fail, not just my students, but other students, for even instructors, and I'm sure most instructors have had someone fail coming to the test centre because their students are switched off, or something's happened in the car park where someone steps in front of them because they're not paying attention and it's caught the student off and the exam has to put the foot on the brake. So remember, when you come into the test centre at the end, be very careful for people running around who have just passed the driving test, they're excited and they run across to the parents, not even looking at you, they run straight in front of you. Or someone who opens the door as you're driving to a bay, so be careful. Go slowly into the car park, okay? I'm hoping this helps you. If it has, give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, by the way, click on that subscribe button. And if you want to watch some more videos on the driving test, I'm going to put a playlist below for you and some videos for you to watch. So good luck on the driving test and go and get that passed.